The past few years, DC has been failing at producing a well-organized and well-scripted film. But will James Gunn direct the DC in A New Hope or the same disappointment? Let's find out in this video, and let's warp into the Cina-Verse of the DCU's new plan.
James Gunn is the new director of the DCU, and he plans to turn DC upside down, hoping to take it in the right direction it deserves. James Gunn has 10 slates planned, and in this video we will give a brief rundown on what to expect and if this new DCU slate is the justice we deserve or a universe that we don't need.
Superman Legacy. It has been said that it will be released in July 11th, 2025. It will be the start of the new DC universe, making it the first installment of Chapter 1, God and Monsters. In this film, we won't have an original story like we saw in Man of Steel, but we will see Superman and Clark's life in his 20s. The film will focus a lot on Superman trying to balance his life between Earth's heritage and Krypton's heritage. As Gunn said, Superman, he is the embodiment of truth, justice, and the American way. He is kindness in a world that thinks of kindness as old-fashioned. From this, we can say that the film will be quite optimistic and won't be as dark as the other films. And throughout his life, I think we will find that he will start to build his own character, that throughout his journey that we will see his villains sort of develop to grow until a very climactic point at the end.
So next up is the Authority. Now, I don't know about you or you, but I never heard of the Authority before.
Nope.
They sound pretty cool, to be completely honest. James Gunn here is being James Gunn. He is bringing in a new set of characters within the universe. And that's practically what he did when he was working with Marvel. You know, Guardians of the Galaxy, I didn't really know who the Guardians of the Galaxy were before their film came out. Now they're this huge set of characters. They're this huge franchise within the Marvel franchise itself.
Yeah.
It wasn't very surprising when the slate came out that he got this new group of superheroes that aren't very well known. Prior to doing this video, I did some research about them and I read about them, and they sound very, very cool. They got this like anarchistic style for being a superhero. They do what needs to be done. It will have a connection to Superman Legacy. But if like Superman is coming out in July 2025,
most probably after, because it's the first installment.
Exactly. Probably it will come out maybe late 2025.
So up next is Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. It's based on the King's comic, Woman of Tomorrow. We know Supergirl mostly from the series, but it will be a different type of Supergirl. There's going to be a bit of a difference between Superman and Supergirl. In the series, we see a sort of interaction with both of them. However, this is going to be there's going to be a really great contrast, between Superman Legacy and Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. We know that Superman was raised by two human parents on Earth. However, in Supergirl, we're going to see how the perspective in her childhood on Krypton, where Krypton has been destroyed and she has seen the horrors of that destruction. So she's very traumatized and sort of starts to bring out this sort of vengeance in her.
So next up is Batman Brave and the Bold.
As a
Batman fan, I have mixed feelings, and I'm going to say why.
Okay.
All right. Okay, we're going to have a Batman and Robin movie, finally. Because the last Batman and Robin movie was when George Clooney was Batman in 1997.
Yeah.
Let's put that into perspective. We were born in 1997. We're going to have specifically a Damian Wayne Robin, which I'm not against.
Okay,
I love Damian Wayne Robin, right? I want to see a Damian Wayne Robin. Right? But we're getting a Damian Wayne Robin in this day before we got a Dick Grayson Robin, a Tim Drake Robin, a Jason Todd Robin, even a Stephanie Brown Robin, the 4 previous Robins before Damian Wayne. And technically there was a Robin in Zack Snyder's DCEU, but he died.
Okay.
But we never got into it. That's the thing. Robin deserves screen time, right? And specifically Dick Grayson, in my opinion, because he's the OG Robin and, in my opinion, the best Robin. Another point is that we're going to have 2 separate Batmen. Now, obviously, if James Gunn is going to go into this direction of having an older, more mature Batman, and obviously Damian Wayne Robin, he has to be slightly, obviously, on the older side. Robert Pattinson isn't going to be that Batman, obviously. What I'm saying is that we already have a Superman legacy type film in DC regarding Batman, and that is Matt Reeves' Batman. Matt Reeves took that approach. You know, why not continue with it? That's all I'm saying.
Why not
Like,
just connect the two?
Why jump all of this time? Because then you're going to have a very older, mature Batman. I don't know, maybe late 30s. And then you're going to have a quite young Superman.
And it wouldn't make sense if you want the young Justice League, for example.
Exactly. I would have preferred if they would all be roughly in the same age group. What I would want, yes, that in Robert Pattinson's Batman, we get introduced into a Robin. More specifically, again, Dick Grayson's Robin.
So, Swamp Thing. I don't really know that much about Swamp Thing. Maybe, do you know something about Swamp Thing? That
I heard of him. There was a series about him, I think on HBO Max, but it got cancelled after 9 episodes.
You know that how they say DC is a dark universe. Now, Swamp Thing is more than just dark. They're making it almost into a horror film.
I'm down.
Which I actually agree, because I did see some pictures of Swamp Thing, and it does look like a literally horror film. So I think Swamp Thing would be something that's totally on its own. Kind of, it feels disconnected with others, but then they will connect it with the other characters in his future plan that we don't really know that much about.
So the next movie that we're going to talk about is Batman Part 2. Now, before you say anything, it's not in the DCU. I don't care. All right, I'm going to talk about Batman Part 2. He's going to be part of the Elseworlds label, which is, all right, quite smart from Gunn's point of view, that you have a certain amount of characters and their own films. So, like, for example, yes, Matt Reeves' Batman. We have Todd Phillips' Joker. Now, Batman Part 2, I think it's scheduled to begin filming this November, and it will come out October 3rd, 2025.
Okay.
And I have a small theory. Because it's coming out in October, you know, Halloween.
It's going to be that time.
Maybe it will be. Now, I really want this, and I hope I'm correct. Since it's coming out in October, then it will be slightly horror themed. And that's a Batman movie that I have wanted for ages. And more specifically, for Scarecrow to be the villain.
From the films, we're going to dive into the series. And the first one we're going to mention is Waller. So Waller is played by Viola Davis. So Saffron said that the series will be between season 1 and season 2 of Peacemaker. So that's where this series is going to be held. So we're going to focus mostly the story of Waller and how she is going to create this new squad trying to stop and take down the Peacemakers. I don't really know that much about this series that much, Waller. It's not an exciting series in my opinion, but it could be interesting to fill in some details, and I hope they would fill in some details.
So the next series is Paradise Lost. I'm not a huge Wonder Woman fan. Like, I like the character, but I'm not very much invested in the character as much as I am into other characters. You know, I think it will be a series that I will enjoy watching. It's set pre-Wonder Woman. It's going to be about the power dynamics, the politics,
that's it.
The social aspects within Themyscira. So it's a really great opportunity for DC to really reveal the world of Themyscira and introduce other Wonder Woman-esque characters. Obviously, I think that Wonder Woman will be introduced obviously later on, because and then what's the point? I think it's a great approach from DC and from Gunn specifically, because again, he is world building. He's going to introduce us into these new set of characters, and that will help us even understand better the mythos behind the character of Wonder Woman.
And next up would be lanterns. The Green Lantern does not really have a good reputation in the film industry with Ryan Reynolds.
Cue Ryan Reynolds' face.
I'm not going to go against Ryan Reynolds because he's perfect man. But hopefully with this series, we're going to get actual good Green Lantern finally. 'Cause Lanterns.
We're going to have
exactly.
two. And I
maybe-
called that in our DCU fan cast. James Gunn, hire me.
Actually, Saffron and Gunn I think this is the series that they're most excited about. And because of that excitement, I actually feel like this is going to be an actual good, well-written, organized series. The series will mostly focus on the Hal Jordan and the Jon Stewart Green Lantern. So I think, in my opinion, starting well.
Yeah.
But the story will focus on being a very detective type of series. So it's like true detective. It will have a main role throughout the DCU main story. Gunn's plan, this would be like the underline of the plan. So, sort of it's always something connecting back, I would believe, to the Lantern series. Hopefully they dive into and bring more lanterns into the series.
So the final series that we're going to talk about is Booster Gold. Now, this is also a new character introduction.
Okay.
Right, so I wouldn't compare him to, like, for example, when we mentioned the Authority in the beginning of the video.
All right.
Booster Gold, he's not a major DC character, but he's not a minor one at the same time.
I don't really know that much about him.
So I did know about him. You know, I saw him like in an animated series and
Alright.
stuff like that. I agree that he's going to be introduced via TV and not film, because I think it will be a great opportunity to introduce the people into this character, kind of like, for example, what Marvel did with Moon Knight.
Something
So
about this.
he's an athlete
Uh-huh.
from the 25th century, and he's very like, his ego is massive. Like, I think bigger than Tony Stark's,
Oh,
if we're going to cross compare. And what he does is he goes back in time to
Time travel.
the 21st century.
Okay.
Well, obviously, he has futuristic technology. He becomes a superhero in the 21st century, and because he has futuristic technology and he has a great suit,
Okay.
like he's quite overpowered when it comes to
Yeah.
common criminals, but he's very much a comic relief, and he's a comic relief that I think the DCU need, because they have a couple of characters which are quite heavy, dark, and I think like Booster Gold and, like, for example, Shazam as well, they can be the sort of comic relief that DC needs. So to balance everything out, you have a nice set of characters
Yeah,
that
exactly.
take on a different tone. So to wrap everything up, I think what James Gunn is doing is very brave and bold. He left Marvel for DC, in my opinion, to a great risk, because DC are in a position where you don't know where they're heading, and he's directing a kind of sinking ship. But I trust James Gunn because he is a genius when it comes to comics and when it comes to filmmaking. I love his style that he introduces not very well-known characters. I don't like it when he overdoes it. So, like, for example,
Hopefully it
with
doesn't
the
do this.
Suicide Squad, I enjoyed the film. A lot of the characters that I didn't know,
Film, to
even
be
the
honest,
point that
as
he introduced
a film.
Peacemaker and he gave him his own series. Fine. Now we're getting the Authority. Yeah, we're getting introduced into not very well-known characters. But let's not forget about other major DC characters that have given time on the big screen. So, like, for example, Green Arrow. We haven't had like a Black Canary movie,
No.
Martian Manhunter. We haven't gotten introduced into Red Tornado yet. I read comments, and that he's taking a page out of Marvel's book, that he's copying
Yes,
Marvel.
he's sort of copying Marvel.
But the point is he? I don't think he is, because he has a set of films right?
Mhm.
And TV shows. And he's going to, at the end, he's going to connect all of them. Yes, Marvel did that before, but they were just the first ones to do it. Like, if you take all of the comics, it's the same approach, that you have different sets of characters with their own comics, right? And then you bring them all together. So that was our opinion on the new plans for the DCU. We hope you enjoyed our video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And see you in the next video.